All right, everyone. First of all, I'd like to welcome all of you who have come out on this lovely evening to join us here at the Worman's Mill Clubhouse for tonight's presentation. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, I'm welcoming everyone who is here. I'm welcoming all of you who are at home watching us on Zoom. And I'm also welcoming all of you who will be watching this on our Worman's Mill YouTube channel sometime in the future after Alan gets it on YouTube. Hi, I'm Ann Grantham. Growing up in Frederick County, where both sets of grandparents were born and their parents were born, the fair has always been a part of my life. My father was born in Walkersville on the family farm, which now holds Colony Village, the post office, and the new library. Across the road, and back then it was called The Road, it was Route 194, was Glade Valley Farms, a thoroughbred racehorse farm. My father was friends with the owner of the farm, Colonel Brand. And Colonel Brand talked my dad into buying a share of the Great Frederick Fair. So we are now considered life members, and that share will be passed down generation to generation. Being a life member, we get free admission every day to everything as many times as we want to come in and out. We have special parking, and we also have a discount on the performers on the grandstand. A couple of years ago, I was speaking with a neighbor on Monocacy Ford Road who had recently moved here from New Jersey to be with his daughter and his grandchildren. I had just come back from having lunch at the fair, and I walked across the street to talk with Craig. I said hello to his grandson, Jameson, and then I said, Craig, you should take your grandson to the fair. He will love it. And Craig said, the fair? Isn't that just a bunch of carnival rides, grandstand performances by country singers, a demolition derby, and also a tractor pull? And I said, no, it's not. In fact, it is so educational. It is exactly where you need to take your grandson and where he will enjoy learning so much about agriculture. So when Alan Carlson asked me to think of a topic for the Civic Association, I immediately said, let's do the Great Frederick Fair. So tonight we have Karen Crum Nicklas here to speak with us. She's the general manager of the fair. Karen has deep roots in Frederick County also. Her grandfather is Clyde Crum, who's been on the fair board forever. Her grandmother, Kitty, and I have known each other forever. In fact, we took aerobics together back in the 1800s at the fire hall. So right now, I want to say that it is my honor to present Karen Crum Nicklas, who's going to be speaking to us on the Great Frederick Fair. Afterwards, we will be having questions from the audience and also from folks at home. If you raise your hand in that little box on your computer, I will let you speak. Thank you.
Thank you. As she mentioned, I am Karen Nicklas, the general manager of the Great Frederick Fair. And my title of my presentation is What's So Great About the Great Frederick Fair? And you will know all about it by the end of our presentation. In my opinion, and though I'm a little biased, my answer is everything, but today I'm going to show you why. Our mission statement is we exist to promote agriculture and the education of our youth about the industry of agriculture. And we do that by having our annual 9-day event. You can click the next, yeah. There's the mission statement and then the next slide. The next slide is a drone image. This is just to show you how big our Great Frederick Fair is in Maryland. The fair as we know it today is a 9-day event, the third full week of September. The fairgrounds is now rented over 300 days of the year for other events, including auctions, quinceañeras, wedding receptions, flea markets, the Maryland Christmas Show, and much more. But our fair has not always been at this location. The first cattle show and fair of the Agricultural Society was held in October of 1822 and was the second fair to be held in the state of Maryland. Our fair has developed over the years to now include live music, carnival, motorsports, and games, but the main focus has always been and remains agriculture. The location of the fair was just 2 miles east of Frederick, near the Monocacy River Bridge at a place called George Krieger's Tavern, which was also referred to as the Monocacy Bridge Hotel. To put it in perspective today, it's where the golf driving range is between 144 and I-70. Now, of course, we're located at East Patrick Street with approximately 60 acres. Back in the day, they used to shut the gate and let the sheep maintain the grounds on the off season. That was when there weren't as many events going on throughout the year. Now we use tractors and lawnmowers. The fair has and will always serve as a social gathering. People used to pack picnic lunches and eat in the infield, where now everyone comes to eat their favorite fair food from vendors. This year we are celebrating our 162nd fair. And if you are better at math than I, you probably just did the math, 2024 minus 1822, and said that I can't count. But we were actually closed for the Spanish influenza, Civil War, and World Wars, and most recently COVID. So 1822 is when we started, 1, 2, skip a few, and now we're at 162. People assume that since we're a county fair, we are run by the county. But as Ann mentioned, we are actually a privately owned fairgrounds by the Frederick County Agricultural Society that's made up of 250 life members. And the West that are here are also life members. And I apologize if there's more of you that I don't know. Please make sure I know that before you leave. The fair is a 501c5 nonprofit organization. I am blessed that my mom and dad were shareholders. And so since I was a kid, also other family members, aunts, uncles, and grandparents were part of the Great Frederick Fair. So it's very near and dear to my heart. The fair is a tradition in Frederick and a place for a little community competition. It's a place to win bragging rights for having the best animals, corn crop, flowers, photographs, cakes, cookies, salsa, maybe even a pumpkin. A couple years ago, we literally had a pumpkin that weighed over 600 pounds. That took coordinating and extra planning with our local farmers cooperative to get the thing weighed because our vegetable scale only goes to 500 pounds. And it required a forklift to unload. Raise your hand if you've ever participated in our fair. Awesome. Keep your hands raised if you've won a ribbon or prize money. All right. For those of you who haven't, raise your hand if you've attended the Great Frederick Fair. Okay, good. If you haven't, I hope that by the end of this, you want to plan your trip. We have the ability, if you guys are Frederick County residents, and the Farm and Garden and the Household Building for a small entry fee, this year it's $12. It's been $10 in the past. For 1 to 3 items, you pay a $12 fee and you get a ticket to come into the fair every day, which is a $90 value. So I highly recommend you to tell your friends that. And even if you guys all make the best chocolate chip cookies, you can enter them and see which one of you truly does make the best cookies. The next slide. I've had for many volunteers, fairgoers, and exhibitors, the fair is a family tradition or just a way of life and what we do. This is a true statement for me. As Anne mentioned, my grandfather, Clyde Crum, served on the fair board for 42 years, and my uncle, Joe Devilbus, is still serving on the fair board. When I was old enough, I joined 4-H, and I participated through baked goods, flower arrangements, arts, crafts, and much more. For the 100th celebration in 2011, the celebration of the birthday of our Grandstand, which is old, I was able to sing the national anthem, and then again at a couple of motorsports. I started an internship in 2012 after being on the Ag Education Committee since 2009, right out of high school, and then got a full-time job with the fair in 2013. I've had the ability since then to work a front gate, yelling at people, not yelling, but telling people to come to the front if they already have a ticket, selling merchandise at a concert, and even working in a parking lot, which was my least favorite part of my experiences. But some of my great memories are on this slide, including if you've been to the fair and that was a tradition, it was always a thing to get your picture taken on Machinery Row every year. So we have one from pretty much every year since we were born on the Machinery Row. And then in participating in exhibits, you can hit the next slide. I have 2 funny exhibitor stories, and I'm hoping that by the end of this, you guys are thinking and can tell me your stories of the Great Frederick Fair. In 2002, that's me with my cute chick, I did the broiler chick program. I had 25 very cute chicks. What I did not realize was how ugly they were going to get when they got older, so I did not enjoy that project thoroughly. It did teach me several lessons: responsibility and caring for well-being of those chickens, providing proper space, temperature, food, and cleanup to be successful. I enjoyed the hard work, but I have to admit, when they grew up and I did not care for them, and just my luck, the avian flu came through that year, and I was unable to submit my entries into the fair, so we had to eat them. They were delicious, but I did not win any prizes. And my 2003 epic cake fail. I made this red velvet cake probably from one of the Farm Bureau cookbooks that we had. Keep in mind, I'd entered this cake many times before at the fair and also the Rose Hill Francis Crum Memorial Cake Sale that my family helps to put on. Earned blue ribbons and even one time a reserve champion prior to this. Well, my brother and I would also, we were both in 4-H, and we would always compete to whoever got to bake the last, because if you baked last, your cookies and your cake were the most fresh when you brought them to the judging. So I won and I got to bake last, apparently not soon enough, and I iced my cake and it was still too warm. So we were driving to the fair to submit this. Keep in mind, if you're a youth exhibitor, you get to participate in the cake sale, and that's a big deal. So I'm in the back seat crying. My mom's driving, my brother's in the passenger seat, and I'm blaming them for why my cake is sliding as we're driving to the fairgrounds. And my mom, who is an angel on earth, biggest cheerleader, very positive, no problem. That's why we bring a knife. We're prepared for the worst. We will get this fixed. No big deal. She opens the car door when we get in the parking lot and goes, oh, yeah, no, you're not gonna get to participate in this contest. So needless to say, I missed participating that year, but it made for a good story for my record book and one of the many cherished memories that I have involving the fair. I learned how to bake, the importance of properly transferring and being prepared in case the touch-up is required. And we do use carpet grip under the plate, so the plate never moved. So we had some great things and learned a lot. But at the fair, you also, in the youth building, you get conference judging. So you get to talk one-on-one to the judges, and they tell you things about your project in front of you. And I will say, to this day, so my family always uses salted butter. And one time I had a judge go, it's a little salty. I, to this day, never put the full teaspoon of salt in chocolate chip cookies. So those experiences were great, and also life lessons learned. You can hit the next slide. So that was just one of my fun stories to share, but hopefully you guys can share yours at the end of the slides. I'm going to give you a glimpse into the greatness. So we have about 230,000 attendees annually, 4,000 exhibitors, 18,000 competitive exhibits. That's anywhere from the livestock to the stuff in the farm and garden household buildings. 4,500 animals on site during Fair Week, over 150 vendors, that includes your food and all of your shopping, over 300 volunteers, that's nearly 100 in ag education alone, 50 plus in our guest relations centers, and over 100 superintendents of livestock buildings and other programs that we run. There are over 115 community sponsors and partners that work with us at the fair. This is truly our fair in Frederick, and it really takes all of us to put it on. And we are truly blessed with an amazing team and tremendous support in our community. We have a full-time staff of 7, including myself, and a board of directors of 12. These are the board of directors that currently serve, also known as my bosses. I work for a wonderful group of people and our legal counsel, which play an important role in the fair. Many of these individuals are business owners, farmers, and educators. Each member has their own area of expertise, so to speak, but we work together to make a successful fair and work with all of our partners. We love our fair, the superintendent, seasonal staff members, exhibitors, and sponsors. The board of directors are divided into committees and oversee all the operations alongside of me for year-round planning and the other staff members. So now the next couple slides, we're going to go on a quick virtual tour of our fair. But keep in mind, this is just very broad overviews, and it would really take you, of course, many of you have been there, but you'd need to spend a lot more time to see everything that we have to offer. So this is the farm and garden building. That's where you see the flowers, the crops, the vegetables, the beer, the wine, the honey. And again, if you grow or make any of that stuff, you can literally participate in this building. And those ribbons are the champion ribbons, and then blue ribbons, you can earn $4.25. So if you get a couple blues, you've paid yourself back the entry fee that you would have paid to participate. The household building has photography, arts and crafts, quilts, children's items, baked goods, and much more. One year, a guy that did woodworking literally made a casket and displayed it. So there's something for everyone, I say, at the Great Frederick Fair. We even have a taxidermy category, so if that's your thing. And these are open to all Frederick County residents you can participate there. The next slide shows you the poultry and rabbit building, which is one of the loudest areas, but they win popularity because of our baby duck slide. They even have a contest where the youth dress up, yes, they dress up in costumes, chickens and rabbits, which if you have not seen that, it is a must-see. So you'll have to look for the schedule and find those. Our youth programming at the fair is something we're very proud of. We could not be more proud of the 4-H FFA and Great Frederick Fair youth that participate. This includes a youth building, which is basically all of the things in farm and garden and household combined into one building, and club entries as well for the youth programs. We have a Royal Ambassador program where we select 4 youth that represent the fair for year-round and at events. And each of those individuals that win a $1,000 scholarship towards education. Our youth cake and baked goods sale, 10% of those proceeds go directly back to our youth on their premium checks. The other helps support all of the other educational year-round programming, scholarships, and educational programs for the youth. And then we have a livestock sale the last Saturday of the fair. Beef, sheep, swine, goats, turkeys, and rabbits. And those kids work really hard all year long for those projects. And that is generously sponsored by people in our community. So 100% of the proceeds raised from that livestock sale go into the children's pockets. They get the check directly to them. Last year in 2023, we had over $860,000 was raised and went right back to the kids. You can support these kids in these programs by either participating by purchasing a cake or a baked good, or at the livestock sale, if you're not really interested in buying a turkey or any animal, you can add money on directly to a child's check and it will go directly to them. So you can spend $100 and split it amongst 4 kids or whatever you choose. The next slide shows the livestock barns, tents. This includes dairy, alpacas, sheep, goats, longhorn dogs, beef, cattle, horses, and more. Each year there's a full schedule of events. A horse pool, barrel racing contest, a beef sit out. And yes, they dress up goats, pigs, and dairy cows too. It's adorable. So there is truly something going on all of the time, and the kids are working really hard. We have the youth programming and open class exhibitors as well. The next slide is our educational exhibits. It's fiber, functional, and fun is where you can learn about fiber industry, where it comes from, see sheep shearing demonstrations, see and pet alpacas and sheep. They literally spin wool directly from a rabbit sitting on their lap. It is very cool. City Streets Country Roads serves as our hub for our Ag Education Center, featuring many hands-on, interactive, and educational exhibits. This includes events like the kids' pedal tractor pull and ice cream making demonstrations. The Birthing Center is where many witness the miracle of birth on the farm for the first time. Growing up on a dairy farm, this was something that I was able to witness since I was little, so you could almost say that I was unfazed by it. But watching our fairgoers and the school tours come through and seeing people's reactions is just something incredible to witness. One of my biggest passions is ag education, growing up in the ag industry. And so it's very important for me that our kids and everybody, adults too, know where their food comes from. And you would not believe the answers that we get when asking kids where it comes from is the grocery store or the freezer. People have no connection back to the animals and actually the hard work that goes into getting that food. So the fair partners with Frederick County Public Schools, and there are curriculum approved and certified lessons that we work together on each year. Over 5,000 elementary schoolers come to the fair on field trips Monday through Thursday during the fair. This year, Monday through Wednesday, because of the school calendar schedule. We can't do it on half days. There's not enough time. Over 18,000 students in FCPS receive our materials. And so they're actually learning about the fair before they come to the fair for that ag education tie back. So it's a really great partnership. And that's why if you come on those weekdays during the day, you'll see tons of kids in all their matching shirts going around to the different tours. And also, if you go to our guest relations centers, there's a picture up there that says the chaperone information. It essentially serves as a self-guided educational tour. It takes you around to each different area of the fair. So it takes you from the west side where the dairy barns are, all the way up to the beef tent, to the household farm and garden, the youth building, and back to the horses in the infield. So you can literally kind of take yourself on that self-guided tour and see all of our educational pieces. The goal at the fair is obviously to teach everyone something interesting about agriculture. On Machinery Row, we were comparing the cost of a combine to the same as that of a house in Spring Ridge, a single family home in that community. A couple of years ago, we added signage to the carnival, and our carnival provider helped us put those up and come up with facts. And so can you believe that 960 apples, 400 cans of caramel are used each year during one fair at the Great Frederick Fair? Over 3,000 pounds of sugar is used to make cotton candy in just the carnival section alone. That does not include our independent vendors. And it takes nearly 3/4 of an acre of sugar cane to supply that, which approximately 90 football fields of wheat are used to make flour for the pizzas for the 9 days of the fair, carnival by itself. I was blown away when I saw those numbers, but it's very interesting to think about. The next slide is the great people. The fair is possible because of all of the great people. Cindy and Ronnie are up there in the pink. Amazing year-round staff and board of directors, volunteers for all of these ag education programs, the guest relations centers volunteers, superintendents of the building, livestock sponsors, vendors, and hopefully some of you are already included in this, but if not, hopefully you in the future. And of course, we can't forget our great fair food. All of your favorites, some of the common go-tos are Hemp's, JB Seafood, Valley Concessions, Pig Hole, Uncle Moe's, Moose Pit. Well, Moose Pit's not there anymore, but now there's a Mountaineer Barbecue. Ice cream, funnel cakes, corn dogs, turkey legs, candy apples, cinnamon rolls, and more. And I'm not gonna lie, I was very hungry making that. You can hit the next slide. I was very hungry when I made this slide. You can hit the next one. I'll give you a minute to, yeah. Great rides and games. Experience the Midway with fun, sounds, lights, and with all the great rides and games. And new in 2023, due to the request of people from the public, we added in sensory-friendly hours on Sunday, and we will offer that again this year. That's becoming pretty common across the country to do that in the carnival area, at least for a couple hours. So we do offer that. And then we have other contests running during the fair. One of those is our landscape contest. So if you go to the fairgrounds today, although it is beautiful, it's not nearly as beautiful as it is when the fair is happening. We have local professional and amateur landscapers that design those areas around the grounds, and that's part of a contest. So not only do they get the exposure for their businesses or their schools that are participating or their clubs, but they can win prizes and stuff as well, and then you can shop for which landscaper you want to come and do your stuff. More great programs that we have are the Mercer Family Vintage Art Contest. You can each project is sponsored by an individual artist or an individual business, and then local artists take these home starting in June and bring them back in August. And then these are auctioned off on Sunday during the fair. It used to be 3 p.m. This year is moving to 2 p.m. But these proceeds go back into fund and produce all of those educational and ag stuff that we use for the school tours and to go back into Frederick County Public Schools. So since 2012, we've raised over $120,000 for our ag education programming. And if you're interested, this year we're doing wooden serving trays. So they'll be auctioned off during the fair. They should turn out very cool. And then the next slide shows you a lot of the greatest options, because I know a lot of people, the common misconception is that it's so expensive, we can't afford to go to the fair. So a couple times I've said, I really want you to participate in our fair by entering into those buildings and getting that pass, so you can spread that word to anybody that lives in Frederick County to participate. Another thing that I think is one of our best kept secrets, but it's not intended to be a secret, so you can tell everyone that you know, is the lunch brunch. So Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., you come to the gate and you say, I'm here for the lunch bunch. They will let you in with no charge so that you can come in and eat from our vendors. That is something that we do that not very many fairs do. And the purpose of that is because our vendors are set up they have to be open by that time, and we want them to have business. We also want you to be able to come and eat lunch and then come back. We don't do readmission. So at that point, you get to come in for lunch on free admission. We do charge for parking during that time, but if you come onto the grounds, it's $10 to park normally, and it's $5 a discounted rate at that lunch bunch hour if you come. We do have senior citizen days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 9 to 3. We have a military appreciation day on Wednesday, that's until 6. Kids 10 and under are free every single day during the Great Frederick Fair. And then we also have our Fair Friday, which is the second Friday, and that's for 18 and under are admitted free until 5 o'clock. And that's normally when schools were closed, now we get a half day, so they can make it in before that cutoff time. A couple other things, if you have families or children, grandchildren, anybody that is interested in the carnival side of things, we do offer an advanced carnival wristband. That is actually on sale now. It goes on sale beginning on Black Friday following this year's fair. So it's already on sale like a year ahead of time. It's a $35. What it is one single admission and one unlimited ride wristband, good on any one day. And if your child is 10 and under and you're the adult and you don't plan to ride, you can use the admission and the kid can get in free, and then you can give your kid the wristband when you get to the carnival. So we do try to offer and give those tips and tricks on our social media pages. If you or your family or friends want to know that, we put out tips all the time on how to save money. On Tuesday night, we do a carload special. That's $60 for up to 8 people in your car, legally buckled. And when we didn't say that, we had like 30 people in a car, and the cops didn't like that. But that is $60. You get admission and unlimited ride for all of those people in that vehicle on Tuesday night. So again, a couple different promotional things, affordable options for those people that when you tell them about the fair and they say, oh, we thought that was cool, but we can't go there. So in addition to the hands-on learning activities that we already discussed, the educational programs. We also have a lot of other added value to your ticket that's been added. If you haven't been to the fair since 2021, then you wouldn't have seen that we have an RC car racing, like a kids race car track that they can remote controlled things. We have a cowboy circus, there's a stoat walker, and these things rotate and change. We have an illusionist, we have a walking dragon that visits the kids. This year we have Team T&J, which is a musical children's entertainment. We're gonna have some appearances from different Disney princesses that stroll through. We're trying to get Bluey. If you have any grandchildren or great grandchildren, Bluey is all the rage. It's a little dog show for kids. So anyway, lots of added value to your ticket. There is Funky Joe's bandwagon stage, which was added last year. And we have a performer, Dennis Lee, who's very entertaining, sits right outside between the youth building and the household building. And also Jimmy Mallory, who was a performer on The Voice. So again, lots of things. You can get your admission. You don't have to buy anything else if you don't choose to, and still spend the whole day there. And then the great entertainment. We've already announced the ones that are up here on the slide. So Tracy Lawrence and Sarah Evans is our older country. We have our tractor pull and the derbies, of course, like Ann mentioned, but we're much more than that. And not just country anymore. We have the Beach Boys, and then we have Christian Casting Crowns. We are getting ready to announce a newer country, classic rock, and a rap hip hop over the next 3 weeks. So stay tuned for that. And the tickets are on sale now for these ones. If you have anybody interested in those, you can go to our website for more information. And then in addition to all the other things we have, which I didn't even mention everything, but we have a wineries, breweries, and distilleries building, or the Michelob Ultra Beer Garden for those who choose to take in or partake in adult beverages. And we have a souvenir trailer that has all kinds of merchandise, different stuff, fair branded. And then that's just a picture of the entertainers that I mentioned earlier for the live music that happens every day. Yeah. So the fairgrounds is 60 acres of property, buildings, and barns. The Great Frederick Fair team works year-round, planning not only the annual fair, but maintaining the grounds and improving our facilities. This year, our focus has been the Grandstand, which a couple years ago we renovated in the Farm Bureau Dairy Bar. And this year we did the other side, which is 3 times the size of that. So we started that immediately in the winter. So the left side is what it looked like last year with the drop ceiling and the vendor that was right inside the door. And the right side is what it looks like today. I took the picture today. That will also be heating and air conditioned. So if you are walking around during the fair and it's hot, that is now an attraction to go into and not only visit those vendors, there's 40 vendors in that building, but also just cool off. The next slide. So these are ways that you can participate, volunteer, buy a brick. Cindy and Ronnie actually run our brick drive. We sell bricks that are part of the Null building, which is the household building. You can get a brick in memory of somebody or a brick for your wedding anniversary or whatever you want. And that helps us go into the Community Foundation, a capital fund for improvements and capital projects such as the renovation of that building. You can be an exhibitor, attend the fair and do the shows. You can volunteer for the ag education programming and much, much more. So the answer to my question in the beginning is what's so great about the Great Frederick Fair? Hopefully now you agree with me that it's everything that we do, from the traditions and the stories and all of the people involved, the carnival rides, the games, the food, the animals, the ag education, exhibits, concerts, motorsports. It's Frederick and it's our Great Frederick Fair. The next slide. So we hope that you're able to join us this year. It's in 114 days from today, so you have plenty of time to plan. September 13th through the 21st, and every year we create themes, and this year our theme is the GOAT, the greatest fair of all time. It's all about the kids. So we hope to see you in September, and at this time I'll ask if anybody has any questions for me. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Eddie Mercer is a life member and the sponsor of the Mercer Vintage Art Contest, and their family is very involved in the fair. And Shelley Stahl is Eddie Mercer's daughter, and she is a board member with us. Okay. Oh, but yeah, and Cindy and Ronnie probably knew the things I would say too. But Eddie and Belva are great, and their family is very involved and supportive of the fair. Yeah.
So, I can't avoid those commercial announcements. Democrats have a tent in the Frederick Fair. We've had it, gee, I don't know how many years. And we're always looking for volunteers. If you volunteer for a shift in the tent, you get free parking and free admittance. And I believe that's also true about the Republicans.
Thank you. So for those of you on Zoom who may not have heard that, he just shared that the Democrats have a tent, and if you volunteer for a shift, you get free parking and free admission from that group. And he thinks the Republicans have it too, so that they do. So the Republicans and the Democrats both have a political tent at the fair. Any other questions, or even if you just have a story to share, I'd love to hear those.
Have you all address security issues? Because, Frederick Fair is supposed to be family fun. However, I think it was maybe last year or the year before, there was an incident at the fair that was very concerning to a lot of families.
Yeah, so the question, if you didn't hear, was how do we address security issues, and if there's incidents that occur, how do we address those and respond? So we have a private security company that we hire that works for us, and then we also have the Frederick County Sheriff's on site, and we have Frederick County Fire and Rescue there every day during our opening hours. So we certainly take any incidents or anything that happens, and we respond as we all see fit appropriately as the security team to either increase presence in certain places or change formatting or add posts where necessary. So yes, we do take that very seriously, and we safety is our #1 priority, obviously, for all the guests and stuff, because we can't be great and it can't be fun if we're not providing a safe environment for people to come to. Anybody else? Yeah.
You should actually get any money from share.
No, good question. So the question was, do shareholders get any money by being shareholders? The answer to that is no. All of the life membership certificates, and from my understanding, when the Agricultural Society was created, it was to make sure that the fairgrounds, because we're a prime location in downtown Frederick. So it was created to be the Agricultural Society to make sure that it stayed privately owned and supported by the agricultural community, so that the fair could carry out our mission statement of ag education and not lose the property. Those shares are privately purchased or sold at auctions. So the fair's involvement in those, the exchange of any of that is just to print the new certificate and make it official as the stock certificate. But that would be if you sold it, that you could make money from it, but it's all sold privately. You're not making any like a dividend, or if that answers your question. Yes, and as the fair, I'm not allowed to know or speak about the values of the shares, but you can look at, you can Google the life membership certificate sales and see that in the newspaper they've been printed, like after auctions they've sold from, yeah, like $30,000 to $40,000. So, Anne.
I can say as a life member, that's the only way anybody can follow like that is something else. And that there is no one in their family that wants fair, and that there's no one that's friendly who's privately comes to them and says, I really would like to buy your share. And other than that, there are a few that come up, but it's rare. I mean, it's really rare.
Yeah, so for those of you who didn't hear on the Zoom, so Anne shared that the life memberships are typically passed down from family to family, or sold within the family even, but it is pretty rare for one to come up to public auction or come up to just a general public, the opportunity to purchase it. They are very much passed down in the family. Did I summarize that? Okay. Did I miss anything? Okay. Anyone else? Other questions or stories? Do you have memories of going to the fair as a kid? No.
You actually mentioned the FFA, it seems like it's much smaller impact for each.
So, what's your name just blanked on me. I'm sorry. Alex. So he said the FFA is mentioned, but it seems smaller. So FFA is only high schoolers, and that's because the FFA program is in high schools, like in the public school. So it is a smaller number of kids participating. And 4-H is from age 8 to 18. So it's just a bigger group. A lot of our kids are actually in both. And then our Great Frederick Fair has 4-H, FFA, and we have our own Great Frederick Fair educational program, to which some people are just enrolled in our program, but we all three work together. Any others? Yes. Okay, the question was, are there any discounts during the sensory-friendly hours during the carnival? There's not a specific day of promotion on Sunday during the fair for the carnival. The way to get that discount and that promotion would be to purchase the advanced Jack Pass that we offer online for that day to get a wristband. If we're not selling wristbands on site during the day, then we don't always offer one. You can't always get an unlimited ride wristband, like on Sunday and I believe the second Friday, they're not offered for purchase the day of, so you'd have to purchase them in advance. But it is a savings, you just have to plan ahead. Good question. Any others?
Board establishes exactly what's there for
The board, so the question is, does the board establish exactly what's going to happen for the fair? So the board oversees me and my staff. So my staff and I manage the day-to-day operations with them as our like supervisory role, and they're active working board members. So they do participate in the committees for the individual planning. We have a security, we have rental committees for the year-round stuff. We have a beer garden committee just for nothing but that. Gates and ticketing, carnival and concession. So we have, I think it's like 20 committees that we make up that kind of oversee every different aspect of the fair. So yes, with everyone else's help too.
beer garden, they don't accept license. You have to real license. License, they would accept. So anybody here wants to go, make sure they ever feel actually hard in their hand to get in.
So he said last year he tried to use his electronic license to get into the beer garden. They wouldn't accept it. So you have to have your physical driver's license, which is, so we're permitted through the Maryland State festival permitting for that. And that might have been under Frederick County Liquor Board, but we follow whatever rules were under their jurisdiction. So we're very strict to the rules. So yeah, sorry about that. Yes.
Yeah, I usually attend the festival show,
Mhm.
and that's pretty far down, so to get there, I make it a point to go through numerous pavilions where the cattle are in the halls and the sheep and everything. And I noticed lots and lots of young people there, of course, the parents are there and everything. And it looks like the young people camp out there. Is that true? Do they go home at night and come back, or do they all sleep there, lunch there?
So he said that he likes to attend the draft horse show, and to get to there, he goes through a lot of the different barns and livestock exhibits, and notices the young kids that look like they live there or camp there or stay there. And the answer to that is yes. We do have campers on site. The campers are a hot commodity. We have a waiting list of like 30 plus people on that. Grows every year because we just don't have the space for everyone that requests the spot. But Youth exhibitor families, do stay on site, some of them in campers. Others do stay in the barns overnight. It just kind of depends. Not every barn does that, but there is some of that going on. So yes.
Like they were, you know, bunks and sleeping bags and everything.
It's the Frederick Fair's home to everyone. That's what we.
Some. Hey, yeah, so big. So.
Your son? So he said his son slept with his pig at the Montgomery Fair, like slept next to the pig in the barn. So yeah, they are close. These kids know those animals and treat them like family. They really are treated like royalty, those livestock. Any other questions? Yes.
What days are the harness racing fair?
Oh, thank you. I know I had the thing up there, but I don't think I said anything about harness racing. So we have harness racing at the fair on the grandstand. It starts at 12 noon and it is Wednesday through Saturday. And those dates are September 18th through the 21st. Good call. You can come in on Wednesday and Thursday at 11 for lunch bunch and get your lunch and take it to the grandstands and watch the harness races. Any others?
Karen, you want to know what's the difference between racing and harness racing?
Yep. He wants to know the difference between racing and harness racing. So the harness racing is with the cart behind it. It's not on the horse, it's behind the horse. And I'm pretty sure they're a different type of horse, but if Colby's watching, I don't want to say it wrong, so I'm not gonna say that. Any other questions? Thank you guys. These are great questions. Any other stories, comments about the fair? Okay, well, thank you guys so much for the opportunity to talk about the fair.